The heart of Zululand may seem an unlikely place to find the high art of opera. But here in South Africa's rural sugar belt, another of apartheid's cultural barricades is crumbling. In the township of Sikhawini, a local choir is leading a drive that's taking opera into uncharted territory. The vehicle is Faust, one of the most popular operas ever written. The story of an old man who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for his lost youth and the woman of his dreams. It's been a long road to get this far. The rehearsals have been painstaking, but there's a palpable sense of excitement that the long hours of practice are about to bear fruit. Considering it's the first opera ever performed in rural South Africa, the venue is ambitious. A 6,000-seat arena at the local university. It's been a steep learning curve coming to terms with Faust. Simphiwe Makize, like most in the chorus, has no classical music training.
E, it's E.
She has to rely on her raw talent and a good ear.
It sounds like it's quite a complicated piece of music that has been quite significantly simplified. Is that the case?
It has been quite simplified because I think the problem was the absence of pianos in black schools.
Yeah.
And so they had to find a simpler way of bringing the music. Like you see in churches, the music is in tonic solfa.
What does it say about South Africa that you're putting on a performance of Faust today? Could you have envisaged doing that 5 years ago even?
No, not a chance. Actually, the only time you would see an opera was if you had a TV, or perhaps you knew somebody who knew what opera was, and then they just mimic what happens. So it would be a huge joke to us, something that you just mimic because you see whites doing it. It wasn't a black thing, actually.
It's the first full rehearsal, and the operatic stage is an unfamiliar place. But it's only minutes before Simphiwe and the choir hit their straps. Faust and the opera are 1,000 miles from the reality of the singers' lives.
Good morning. Okay, sit.
Simphiwe is a teacher at a rural high school 20 kilometres out of the township. To many of these students, opera may well carry the tag of white cultural elitism. But Simphiwe's message to her students is that in the new South Africa, opera can be equally liberating.
It's basically saying it's up to you as an individual to do something. It's not up to the government anymore to say you can do this, you cannot do this. It's up to the person. You've got the talent, then you go for it. There are chances. Sometimes people are prevented by things such as social development, because certain things do not happen in the rural areas. They're only restricted to the cities, but then now the opera has obviously brought it to the community, the rural community.
Ready?
Now the war is over. Now the war is over. Friends, put your spirits to rest. We are home once again. You must be happy.
Griffiths Kanyile could have had it all. In the 1970s, he was hailed as one of South Africa's most acclaimed black tenors. His voice brought him more prizes and awards than he could carry, but only as far as the apartheid state would allow.
Well, it is that tradition of being closed and being shuttered and not being known that you exist. You only live in a small circle. Like, I mean, if you ask somebody in Kuruman or in, let's say, Cape Town, do you know Griffiths Kanyile? He will say no. We didn't have the opportunity to get exposed to the entire community of South Africa, even to our own people, except locally. Let's try and project a jovial mood, a happy mood, okay? Light and swift.
Light and swift as summer breezes.
Griffiths is now passing on his musical legacy to the Sikhawini chorus. For 6 painstaking months, he's been teaching them the art of opera.
How do you feel having been able to take a group of singers who are completely new to opera and to mould them into what you're seeing now, into a chorus?
Can I just say this is a major breakthrough? In fact, I've been saying it's a historical event. When the news were broken that we were going to do this work with orchestra, it was just excitement. We're just mad about it. I just looked up and said, thanks God, at last the opportunity has come. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting.
The sets are starting to take shape. Now all that needs to be done is to make sure who does what and when. And like most things, it's not as easy as it looks.
We thank you for your song.
Will you give her my love and speak freely? Will you bring her greeting from a heart fully beating? The body of a true and speak.
Director's note: make sure those props are weighed down.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Praise be to God.
As Griffiths Kanyile once did, Bongi Vilakazi also dreams of a life in music. But his dream is within reach. For the past 2 years, the 29-year-old has been studying music at the University of Zululand. But before he could come here, he had to work for several years to save enough money for his university education and overcome the widely held perception in the community that music isn't really a suitable career.
They ask sort of questions: what are you going to do with music? How are you going to work? Where are you going to work? Because there's no work. Those are the troubling questions, especially when you think of the funds that we pay at the university, which are very high. So, you know, when you are in there, you doubt whether am I going to get the job. But I've proved them wrong, always.
Performing Faust isn't simply art for art's sake. Bongi believes there are real lessons here for contemporary South Africa.
And it is relating to the events that were happening in South Africa, these wars, violence going on. And at the end of this opera, we are saying the war is over and people must come together. They must stop this killing which has been happening. So I found it relating a lot to the situation and the circumstances which are happening in our daily lives in South Africa.
Good morning.
The staging of opera in rural communities isn't entirely altruistic.
And the moment I go over 3 hours, I start paying overtime.
Sandra de Villiers is passionate about opera and is the driving force behind the production. She readily admits that opera has a serious image problem.
Others arrive there at 6 o'clock. Elitist, Eurocentric, elitist, expensive. It's like it's all over the whole, over the whole world. It's not just here in South Africa. I mean, what I like about what we are doing is not really that we are Africanizing opera, or that we are revolutionizing opera, that we are... It's all of those things that we are doing, but it's actually...
There is also a political imperative for South Africa's opera buffs. Enlist support from the black community, or any hope of government support is gone.
You can't live without the politician, you can't live without money. I just say you've got to be very, very careful. You can use politics, but you must never, lose your integrity.
The first left turn, Babu, you turn left up until you drive to the other door on the other side of the hall. Oh, that's where the parking is for the VIPs. Okay. Please.
For a week now, there have been muted concerns about the size of the venue and the chances of drawing a good audience. Inside, the chorus is working off its nervous energy with a vocal warm-up.
Yeah, that was very good.
Just relax, sing, enjoy it. Good luck.
Right.
But outside at the box office, ticket sales are disappointingly slow. The invited guests will make up the bulk of tonight's audience.
Hi, Simphiwe.
Hello.
Are you ready?
Yes, very much so.
Excited?
Absolutely excited.
You must be just also a tiny little bit nervous.
I had enough time to rest, actually. I'm a little fresh than 2 days before.
In the dressing rooms, it's pandemonium.
Bongi, hi.
Hey, I'm okay.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready today. Yeah, I'm ready to give it a big shot.
How's everyone feeling? Everyone a bit nervous?
The mood is very okay. Everybody's confident to make it today.
A last-minute touch-up in the ladies' dressing room, and panic and tears over a lost costume.
I mean, stand by. I'm getting the ladies, and then we're all going through to the backstage area. Okay? Yes.
You've come a long road, eh?
Yeah.
Come a long road. Consider where you started. When? February?
Yes, February.
Huh? Yes. Slowly. Now you are here on the night. And what is happening here tonight is history in the making. History in the making. And you are making it. Have a good time. And you know what? You must tell those people out there, your friends, your uncles, your aunties, and those snobs that are sitting in the front. You must tell them who's the boss of this house.
Although they may not have filled the auditorium, it took no shine off the performance.
And somebody breezes of it really touch on the crowd as we dance the merry-round to the music sound to the walls this is in the major and the voices and in pleasure this is the flutes and trumpets rolling round the dancers go sing how they swing.
A small step has been taken. Opera now has a toehold in a new world, and the message sent out by the Sikhawini Township Choir is loud and clear. That on South Africa's road to transformation, even the smallest victories are sweet ones.